Hi, I'm Vinay Giridhar. I'm the director of Emergence Out of the Shadows, and you're watching the Filmcraziest Show.
And hi, everyone. I'm Alex Sangha, and I'm the producer of Emergence Out of the Shadows, and you're watching the Film Craziest Show.
Cool. And I'm Daniel, the host of the Film Crazy Show, and I'm also joined by my friend and colleague Arpit Nayak from the Movie Buff, and also Film Craziest. So welcome, Arpit, for being my co-host today.
Thanks for having me, Daniel.
I would love to start with you, Vinny. But just why did you want to join this project and help tell this story?
What's up? Because I've known Alex for a long time, and I've worked for him for graphic design, video editing, and this kind of thing. And I've known a lot of the share members over the years, and I knew that they have fantastic stories to share. That has to be shared to the world so that people know that these kind of people exist, and like their stories are important to be shared, right? And we were discussing. Alex's first movie had done really well, and My Name Was January. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's about a transgender person who was murdered, and she was our friend. So we had to make a movie on her. So that movie had really done really well, and then Alex asked me to do his second movie, and I said yes, why not? Let's just try this out.
Now, Alex, could I just have you give a background of like how you started Share Vancouver and just what that organization is about?
hmm So, Share Vancouver started in 2008, and it started as a group for queer South Asians and friends. And now we're a registered charity in Canada. We're one of the few registered charities that do arts and cultural film production and social service work in the country. And I started this nonprofit because there was a number of high-profile suicides in the community. There was even one young boy from Afghanistan uh, who wrote in his suicide note that he was actually straight, but at school he was called queer, faggot, homo, and he walked to the top of the local bridge and ended his life. And these types of all these types of events really hit me hard because I was having a hard time in school. I didn't have many friends in high school, and I know what he must have experienced. And so what I learned was to be a victim of homophobia or transphobia, you don't have to be gay or queer. It can affect anyone. Anyone can be a victim of discrimination. And we need to create safe spaces for everyone. And that was one of the initial mandates of Share Vancouver.
Okay. That's I'm glad that you've been able to create a community in Surrey for
hmm
people.
Metro Vancouver, and it's expanding. It's really growing across the province of British Columbia, and even across Canada, we have members.
Oh, okay. Okay, so it's really just BC wide and Canada wide too?
Well, we have members at BC wide and Canada wide, but we're centrally focused in Metro Vancouver.
Okay, fair enough. And before I let Arpit jump in here, I just love to ask, like, what made you want to produce like a social impact film like Emergence Out of Shadows?
Well, because it fit very nicely with the work we were doing in Share Vancouver to create safe spaces for queer South Asian people. And also Caden, when Caden came to me, when he contacted Share Vancouver and he was, studying as an international student in college in Vancouver from Punjab, India, he was disowned by his entire family for being gay. And it was just heartbreaking. I really wanted to educate the families, the parents, and provide hope to other kids that you are not alone. We are here to support you. And I wanted to just create awareness, create a social awareness, and try to reduce the homophobia and transphobia and discrimination in the world and provide some education because there really is not a lot of films about gay Punjabi Sikh families or even South Asian families with queer families that, in this film, what really makes it unique is you hear from the parents. You hear from the parents of gay and lesbian children, and that is very, very rare, actually. And there's a very little body of work, especially within our community, to for that. So it's a very, very valuable and a very, very important resource for schools, for students, for teachers, for parents, and for gay and lesbian kids.
Arpit, I'll let you jump in with one or a couple of yours.
So, Vinay, I'd like to ask you this question that, that filmmaking is not something that, has been chosen by, I will say, general people. So what inspired you to, become a storyteller? Can you tell us a bit about your journey, that how did you ended up choosing this as your career, and what's your journey so far?
I started, I always knew I had to do art. Like, even back in school, I always used to draw and write stories and poetry and all this. So I always knew I had to do something. I didn't want anything to do with like engineering or medicine. Like, you know how it is in India. So luckily my parents never forced me to go through all that, and they supported me. And then I went into a degree program in animation and graphic design in India. And then after that, I thought I really liked the aspect of the stories and telling, like creating characters and this kind of thing. So I moved to Vancouver to study animation in Vancouver Film School. So that was I felt was like a natural progression. So I took this from animation to animation, right? And then some stuff happened, and then I decided to go into graphic design for a bit, and then I really started enjoying that as well. So I have a wide variety of things that I've been doing throughout the years, and I've been freelancing and doing this kind of thing too. um, and then like I never thought I'll get into filmmaking, like real live action filmmaking. I thought I'll do animation, I'll do cartoons and that kind of thing. So uh, but Alex really supported me in this, because this is also my first project as a documentary director. Like I never thought I could do it, but he showed me the way, and I was able to do it. Yeah, and I
And
really
I'm
enjoyed it as well.
and I'm very proud of Vinay because the film has been accepted at Out on Film in Atlanta, which is an Academy Award qualifying festival. It has been accepted into three Canadian Screen Award qualifying festivals, and now we have entered officially the Canadian Screen Awards for 2022 for Best Feature Documentary and Best Editing. So, Vinay, that's not bad for your first film. We haven't even had our world premiere. Our world premiere is on the 19th, which is tomorrow, at Cinema Diverse, which is the Palm Springs LGBTQ film festival. So, congratulations, Vinay. You did it, and I'm so proud of you.
I'm so grateful. Like, yeah, for being given, like, to come to a country like Canada. It's really hard for an immigrant to find a role, to find a space to like express themselves, right? And I'm really grateful to Share Vancouver and Alex for giving me this opportunity, and
Awesome, great
believing
to
in
know
me.
that.
Yes. Yeah.
So, Alex, the film not only has you as a producer, but it also has you as a storyteller. So, was that a conscious decision that you wanted to be part of the film? Was that at all a conscious decision, or while you were creating the film, you decided that you also want your story to be shared as well?
Actually, I gave Vinay complete creative control over the film. We had a number of stories we were looking at in Share Vancouver, and we wanted a balanced documentary. But we really, really wanted my mother, who's in the film, to be in the story because we wanted the parents' perspective. And so we have a balanced story. We have Jag, which talks about, being a queer woman, being a lesbian, and her parents. We have Caden, the younger generation, a gay male. And then we have the older story of myself and my parents. So we had a kind of a unique perspective looking at three different stories, and it was very difficult and challenging. I mean, we had quite a few stories of gay and lesbian kids who wanted to come out who'd be willing to be in the film, but the parents all said no. Only a few parents would be willing to go on camera and talk about their gay and lesbian kids. So really, that kind of left me with when we were discussing it. Vinay goes, "Well, why don't we have your mom and you?" And I said, "Sure, why not? I have nothing to hide. I'm out. I'm out. I'm out to the world." And if it's for a good cause, if we can change lives and we can save lives and we can create safe spaces and educate the people, then why not do it? And my mom was there to support me right from day one. So this was also, it was interesting what happened. Arpit was I always thought my mom always loved me and supported me for being gay and that it was unconditional acceptance. But then after I saw the film and I saw the film that Vinay created and I saw my mom on camera, I actually witnessed for the first time in my life as a 49-year-old man all the struggle and the journey that my mom went through to accept her gay son. And it was kind of an eye opener for me. And it realized and kind of hit me that the parents also go through their own journey and they also go through their own coming out story in a way. So this is why I think it's so critical and so important to have parents in a documentary like this to make it really complete.
So was it difficult for you, Alex, that I mean, you know your journey, but while you were seeing your whole journey again, was it difficult for you to see your journey again like this?
Yes. To be honest, it was quite traumatizing, because there was a lot of things about my childhood and racism. I mean, when I went to school, there was no internet, there was no cell phones, there was no gay straight alliances, there was no grinder, there was no online apps to meet people, there was nothing. There was nothing, whenever I saw gay people on TV, they were stereotypical or effeminate or mostly Caucasian. I couldn't see myself reflected in anything in the media. I thought there was something wrong with me. I thought I had some kind of problem because I was gay. And I was all alone. And yeah, it was very difficult and very challenging and quite traumatizing actually to do the documentary because it brought back all these feelings and triggers and emotions and thoughts. And however, it was also therapeutic. So it was also therapeutic to get all these deep emotions out of my system and talk about it for the first time really all in a consistent manner from the beginning journey to the end. And and then it was kind of therapeutic and it kind of helped me bring closure. And then I heard my mom's story. And I really feel the film it's not just about entertainment and making a film that's interesting to watch. This film has a bigger message and a bigger purpose. The message of this film is to help people in our community and help kids in our community. We don't want anyone to be rejected or be disowned or be oppressed or discriminated against, and in some cases be the victims of hate crimes. We want people to love each other and to respect each other and support each other, and we want the parents to embrace their children. Someone asked me, "Oh, there's no religion that accepts gay people, and why should we accept you?" And I said, I didn't want to get into battles with this person about religion, but it was a broadcaster, quite a popular broadcaster in Vancouver. And this person was also Sikh. I said, well, I said, you should know better. There's nothing in the Sikh religion that says anything bad against gay and lesbian people. And I also said to him, I don't think God created me because he wants me to suffer. I think we are all God's children. Do you think God would want to have his children, treated badly? We all should be treated with love.
Yeah, I'll just jump in because I know both Arpit and I had on our questions just like watching the documentary and seeing your mom's reactions. So like, did you guys watch it together or individually? I'd be curious if you had a discussion about that because I think that was
Um,
interesting.
yeah, it was both. I watched it by myself and I started crying and I said, "Oh my God, am I crying because I'm in the film or am I crying because the film is emotionally gripping?" So I was confused and I didn't know what the response to the film was going to be actually.
Okay.
But apparently now everyone who watches it starts getting emotional. So but for my mom watches the film. I don't know, like she has it on a USB stick, and whenever I go into the living room, she's watching it. So I don't know what's
Oh,
going on. I really don't know what's going on.
is she kind of like watching like a time capsule almost?
I think she watches 20 minutes at a time and then she's like, "Oh, my son made this movie. I'm so proud. Look, I'm in the movie." She brings her friends over from the senior center. They have some chai and they have some sweets and they watch 20 minutes of my film.
Oh, that's so sweet to hear because I really like that dynamic between you and your mom, and I thought that was like a very sweet aspect of the film. So
Yeah,
so
my
that's
mom is
great.
great. I mean, I really think, I mean, I think all the characters in the film did a really good job, but I really liked Jag's story and I really liked my mom in the film.
little biased, but it's okay. But yeah, no, I also really enjoyed Jag's story, and I'd be curious if you guys know if Jag's parents have seen the film as well and got that perspective.
Actually, I don't think they have seen it.
Okay,
I know Jag has seen it and her brother have seen it, but I don't think Jag's parents have seen it.
okay.
And I don't know how they would respond if they saw. I mean, because Vinay captured some pretty deep emotional scenes in the film, especially with Jag's father being teary-eyed, and
Mhm.
he's having you can visibly see in the film that Jag's father, Avtar, is really kind of struggling and maybe even still struggling, but he was silent and he was there to support his wife and his children. And he didn't say much in the film, but you can see it all in his facial expressions. And I don't know if he's watched the film. I really don't think he's watched it. I think it's very emotionally tough for that family. Yeah.
Yeah, even going through it, it seems like watching it would be hard to relive, I guess.
Yeah, it's hard for everyone. So, but I thank Jag. Just yesterday, Jag called me and I said, Jag, your whole family, I don't know how I can ever repay you. I said, your whole family really did such a good service for our community. Everyone, your brother, your children, your wife, your partner, your mother, your father. I mean, I'm so grateful they stuck with the film for 2 years. They gave us full access to their family and their stories and their lived experiences and everything. And I'm hoping this film can be a legacy for future generations long after we're gone, and people can say, here's a wonderful movie about people who are dealing with these issues.
2 years though, that's extensive. That's great.
Yeah, it took
The
two
pandemic
years to
happened.
make this documentary in the middle of COVID, in the middle of the pandemic.
That's a lot of footage.
Hmm.
How much would you say you guys shot?
How much hours did we have in A?
We have almost every weekend we had something going on, like going for a B-roll shoot and everything. But actually, the studio, as you can see, the interviews were shot in a studio.
Sure.
That was about 3 days worth of footage. Like we went there to shoot all this. So the movie was basically all shot. All the stories were captured by the time in those 3 days, and then we slowly planned because of everybody's schedule needs to work, and then the pandemic happened, so we were planning b-roll every week, every other week. So that's how we completed it, and then it took me a while to edit it as well. So
I would say we had 25 full days of footage.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
25 full days of footage, actually, when you include all the footage. And we are actually editing 3 short films for high schools from the documentary with new and existing footage. That's not in the feature film. It's going to be Kate and Jag and Amar's story, and we're going to go into schools with the teacher's discussion guide and make that available to educators around the world so that they can have short films and they can have discussions.
Ah, that's great. Was that always the plan, or is that because there was just like so much extra that you could do with it?
Both.
Okay.
Both, yeah.
I
And
mean,
also, it gives Vinay another job.
I appreciate that. No,
Yeah.
originally we were planning to have a shorter version of the film, maybe 30 minutes total. Like, and then when we heard all the stories, it was impossible to say all this in 30 minutes. It's like unless we cut out like the major chunks of it. So we thought, like maybe we can do a separate project for each one, and then that'll be like 30 minutes each. That would work better.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Now, I'm sorry, Arpit, I'll let you jump back in.
Sure. So, Alex, the community that you belong to, is known around the world for being, very strong. That you guys are the one who has fought the wars. That you people are well built. You are strong. And when I think this is something that your mom has said as well. That she could not believe that her son can be this thing. She felt like that this must be some of her past sin that making her pay, and she would be keep reading the spiritual books to find out the reason that why it is happening, what is happening. So how it was for you when you belong to such community, and then you are trying to conveying to message to such a strong community. Was it
Hmm.
challenging at all, or what was your thought like
Actually, you know,
convincing your people?
yeah, that's a very, very good question because when I first came out as a gay Sikh, the president of the local Sikh temple in Surrey, which is has a huge demographic and population of Sikhs in Metro Vancouver, and actually a huge community outside of India here, outside of Punjab, one of the largest in the world. The president of the largest Sikh temple said there's no such thing as gay Sikhs. Right away, I received a backlash. Back then, it was on MSN. So many people added me, were bashing me. Oh, you're not a Sikh. You're a disgrace. You're not a Jat. You're embarrassing the community. Um, you should just go and die. All these horrible things. And I went to the temple. I talked to my mom, and I said, "Are you sure I'm doing the right thing? Are you sure founding Share Vancouver?" I said, I mean, in the film, you know why I founded Share Vancouver, because I had a nervous breakdown, a spiritual experience, and this is what I felt I had to do. I explained it to my mom, and she said, let's go to the Sikh temple and let's pray that your journey starting Share Vancouver will be a positive, fruitful, and helpful organization for everyone. So we prayed. The day that I founded Share Vancouver, my mom took me to the Sikh temple, the Gurdwara. We prayed, and I that gave me the courage because I had the support of my mother. My mother had a hard time dealing with this, but she always kind of knew that I was gay, and it was just like the reality and the fact hitting her conscience. And also, what happened was my mother has read the Guru Granth Sahib, the Sikh holy book, from beginning to end at least 50, 60 times. She was a Punjabi language teacher in India. She's very spiritual. I don't know if she's really religious, but she believes in Sikhism. She's very much a spiritual person. And when she turned to the Guru Granth Sahib to find answers to why her son was this, all she could read was about loving everyone, helping people who are struggling. The Sikhism doesn't support any type of hatred toward anyone. And in fact, if you're a Sikh person, you are supposed to defend the marginalized, the oppressed, the vulnerable, the weak, people who need your help in society. That is the duty of every Sikh. And she said, you know what? It's not your fault. It's not your fault that God created it the way you are. I don't know why God created it. One day we will have those answers, but as your mother, it's my duty to support my son, and I will support you. I see nothing wrong with what you're doing because I feel this was God's creation. It wasn't your creation. So she said, I don't need to have all the answers to learn how to love my son. And so because I had her support and I felt I had the support of God and the creator, I moved forward and created Share Vancouver and went on my journey.
I like to say one more thing to you, Alex, that not only your the film that you both has created talks about the homosexuality, but in a way, if one has this perspective to see that, it also strong about the woman in a way that the what another message that I have got from your film, I would like to say that it shows that how much woman is stronger. If someone will just like the way it shows your journey, it's also show journey of your mother. Coming as an immigrant in this country, then moving away from the husband, raising 3 kids alone, and also supporting the kid. And your mom herself says that sometimes she still can't understand that what some stuff means to being homosexual, and yet she's being so strong. So I think that there is another perspective to see in your documentary, that a woman can be this strong, while the whole perception in the world is that the men only are the strongest figure around the world. But in a way, it speaks about the woman and the motherhood and all. I mean, I thought that it's another perspective to see, which I
Oh
loved.
my God, you have really, that is such an insightful comment. You really watched this documentary. You really did that is such a amazing comment because, I was always thinking about that too because a lot of people haven't touched on it. But if you look at Jag's mother and if you look at my mother, they are so strong in the film. They
Yeah.
really are the backbone of the film, and they really carry their children forward, And you're right, because the two fathers in the film, my father and Jag's father and Caden's father, they all, kind of are presented in a way that, I mean, my father, even though he funded the film, he didn't agree to be in the film. I did ask him, and of course, Caden's father rejected him, and Jag's father was in the film, and he was very supportive. But I think it's quite obvious, and he was struggling. He was struggling, and one of the reasons we had Jag's father and Jag's mother together instead of shooting them individually is because he really didn't feel comfortable being shot by himself. So I don't know why. I don't know why gay issues are more difficult for men in our community to understand or support their gay children and gay lesbian children. I really don't understand why that is. Maybe it's because men are supposed to be strong and patriarchal, and they're supposed to be providers to their women, and being gay is a threat to that masculinity. I really don't understand it, but I mean, you're right. This is a real message in the film, is the power of women and motherhood.
Yeah. I thought that when I was seeing it, I could just sense that. So I thought that I should share it with you for sure.
That's a really insightful comment. I don't know, Vinay, do you have any comments on that? Did you think about that when you were editing the film?
I knew your mother, and then I know Jack's mother, and I knew they were strong women, and they have supported you throughout. And then it was obvious for me to see that, like, they are the ones who are, pushing you along. Like, this is okay, you can do this, right? And Jack's mom is the first one who hugged Jack right at the moment, when Jack came out, and that is a really strong. That is a strong person, right? And I think about men. Men are just all about the muscle power and then walking around, all the, like. But women are the ones who are giving birth, and they felt the pain, and they have carried you, right? So for 9-10 months, it's just unbelievable, the power, the strength they have. Men cannot compare.
Sorry, those insights are why I have Arpit here. It just gives a different angle to the conversation, which I think is pretty neat.
I really
This-
appreciate that. Yeah.
Now, one thing I had noticed in the film that was interesting, the hallucination in England. Was that surreal recreating that for this film?
You know what? I think Vinay did the best job possible for that spiritual experience, and I don't really believe it was a hallucination.
Okay,
I've never
sorry.
had. Even though in the film I present it as a hallucination or a spiritual experience, I leave it for the audience to decide, because I don't want to get into these crazy battles about spirituality and whatever. And to be honest, I've never had another hallucination since then like that, a visual one. And really, I believe I had a spiritual experience, and I believe everyone has this ability to have a spiritual experience, because I believe that a spirit and a soul, I believe we are walking spirits and a walking soul, and everyone has what they call in Punjabi an atma, or a spirit in you. And I feel, everyone, Vinay, you, me, everyone has this spirit. And, when you die, I feel your body just turns to ash and mixes with the earth, but your spirit, your soul, either gets reincarnated or goes to the creator, goes to God, or, goes back to the universe or whatever. It can never die. And because I had this actual visual encounter, which is presented in the film with this spiritual energy, and I actually saw it when I was 19. And at that time, I was not religious. I didn't know anything about God. I was like, am I being alien abducted or what? I don't know what the hell was going on. And, so this happened to me. And so that changed the entire path of my life. I went into social work. I went into teaching. I went into counseling. I went into basically I started the nonprofit. Everything I've done was because I felt that's what God wants me to do, to be a social worker, basically. And everything I do is related somehow to social work. Even my filmmaking is about social advocacy, social activism, and social work. And I feel filmmaking is one way to create social awareness. So this happened to me. And then over the years, that was in 19 and I'm 49 now. Over the last 30 years in my counseling practice and in different situations. I mean, my experience has been written up in a mental health journal. I've been interviewed by many different people about the experience. It's been published in the Times of India.
Okay.
What happened was I've talked to about 15, 20 people who've had life after death out of body experiences, and they all share one thing in common. Guess what that one thing is in common?
Liked.
Oh yeah, like existential stuff.
Yeah, they all experience. I mean, we all have different ways of getting into that situation or what happened to us, but they all sort of had an out of body experience, which I had, and they saw this light. So, I remember I told this to my doctors and psychiatrists early on when I was younger, and I said, they all say, oh, hallucination, chemical imbalance, blah, blah. I say, you know what? There's millions of people around the world that have the same experience. Just because science cannot explain it doesn't mean you have that you can undermine their experience or what happened to them. That's their reality. That's what happened to them. Science can't explain anything. And in fact, when it comes to the brain and when it comes to human existence in our universe, we have a very limited knowledge. We're just a little tiny speck. The planet Earth is a tiny speck in this universe, and we think we know everything about everything. So this scene in the film is a very important scene actually, because that's the beginning of me accepting myself as a gay person and starting my journey as a social activist and as a social worker. And I think Vinay did a really good job explaining what I was going through, and I tried my best to dramatize it, but of course the light that I seen and the spiritual experience that I had is um, you have to watch it to see it.
Yeah, for sure. Now that I'm glad you had that life-changing experience and like have gone through your journey. But I'd love to ask, like, Vinay, what was there a pressure there, kind of directing a moment that big?
Actually, when we were planning the scene, we were not planning to film it. And I
Okay.
suggested that, okay, this is the crucial moment. This is the turning point of your life. And I need to visualize it. I need to find a way to put it in, like, so that people understand it, right? Like, we don't understand what he went through. And I wanted to, add my own like little spin to it, and then, bring it out so that the audience can understand, because this is the quintessential moment when he transformed himself, like he accepted himself. And this, so it was a very important scene for me. So and I'm glad he came around to it, because at first he was not okay. Like, he's like, oh, this is not how I saw it, this is not how I saw it. Where,
Okay.
I had an idea, and he supported me on that too. I'm happy.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest, Daniel, since I've had that
Okay.
experience throughout my life, people have come into my life, and I kind of believe a little bit in destiny. I feel that everything happens for a reason, and God knows exactly what you're going to do even before you do it. So yet I think, yes, I have choice. I can choose to do things in my life, but do I really have choice? Because God already knows where my life is going. So, it's a really confusing thing. And I sometimes feel that we're all just actors. Somehow thoughts are put into our minds and we behave and we do things, but we're all just actors living out this story. And yet there's a big plan and a big story weaved out. And one day we'll all figure it out, and, the conclusion of the book will be given. And since I had that experience, these kind of have been my thinking about what makes sense to me in the universe. But so when people like Vinay or whoever who's been in my life for so long, or just even strangers who come into my life, I'm always wondering, are they part of my story? Are they just here for a short time? It's kind of like being on a train. You're on a train, you're on a journey. Some people sit on the train with you for a long time to go to a major city together. Some people come and go and they get off very quickly. This is kind of like the journey of life I see. And yeah, so this is, this experience I had when I was very young kind of changed my whole view on life and existence, to be honest. And to be honest, I wish the world was more spiritual and less religious, more spiritual, because I think spirituality unites people of humanity. And I think there's so much conflict and hate and discrimination based on the different faiths that it's just better just to love each other and support each other as human beings and see what we all have in common as a people.
Okay. That's such a neat outlook and how you see things. So I appreciate you sharing.
Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, because most people don't ask me about this.
Well, glad to have you, to give you this platform. Now, Arpit, did you want to jump in with any of yours?
Yeah, sure. This question is for both Vinay and Alex. That the whole story has been, said from a perspective that the three people belong to the same community. So, do you guys always had in that mind that we just want to represent the story belonging from this community, or initially when you were planning, you had other people in mind as well?
Yeah. So to be honest, we did have other people in mind. We had a number of people who were Hindu, Muslim, Sikh, different members in Share Vancouver. However, what happened was when we looked at the actual stories and how we can put together a really good, compelling script. And we also wanted the parents involved, so that was narrowed down some of our cast. But the Punjabi Sikh population in the Surrey Metro Vancouver area and in Canada is a huge demographic in our city, and the story was based in the Surrey Vancouver area, and we're a huge demographic here. And we also kind of wanted to do a focused case study and make it consistent so that people can extrapolate some of the conclusions and findings from the story and say, we focus just on this community and this is what happened. We can't be everything to all people all at once. So that was what I was thinking, and we kept it to that. However, our wonderful director is not Punjabi Sikh. Vinay is from Kerala, the beautiful state of Kerala, and he always tells me how beautiful Kerala is. So I'm looking forward to one day go to Kerala. And so he's a Hindu. He's a Hindu, proud Hindu from the southern state of India and southern state of India, and so really, this film was seen through the eyes of someone who was not Punjabi Sikh. It was seen through a Hindu person from South India. So, Vinay, you want to comment on that?
How I see this film is more from a spiritual angle than rather than a religious one, and the spirituality is something like Alex said that anybody can identify with. Like it can apply to any religion that you want to, like it can apply to Christianity or it can apply to Hinduism. And Sikhism and a lot of the Eastern religions are comparable. Like they go through the similar, their philosophies are similar. So I didn't see that it as a negative point because it kind of applies to everybody. And um, I thought it was really neat, and I got to learn a lot about Sikhism through this film as well. So it was a unique experience for me. Yeah.
I think at the end, I say these things sometimes to people that I think at the end of the day, you take any religion in the world, even the made by the human themselves, they all speak about the humanity. They all talk
Yeah.
about the peace, and they
Be
all
a good
have one
person.
thing in common: be good to people. I guess
Yeah,
so.
helping people, supporting people,
Yeah.
like not, yeah, this is basically the same message that every single religion shares, but it's just that little, the origin stories, that is the problem. Like, okay, this, but the message is the same and the path are different, but like the destination is the same. So I believe like it doesn't matter if they're all Sikhs because it applies to everybody. The story applies to everyone. Yeah.
So, did you had any difficult time taking the interview? When I would like to share that, which was the toughest interview to take, or I will say, to shoot?
For me, as you see, Alex is very like eloquent. He can speak for hours if you want him to. And Alex's mom as well. Like they all speak really well. Jack speaks really well. I think I struggled a little bit with Jack's parents because we are doing the interview in English and they're not the most comfortable with it, and sometimes they don't understand my question properly even though I tried to, like, you know but they did a really good job and they came through, so I'm really happy how it all turned out. Yeah.
So what was your parents' reaction when they saw the film?
My mom was really proud of me. She really loved the film. So far, like my family, I've got really good feedback after watching the trailer, and they're really happy for me. Oh, it's been to this film festival, that film festival. Everybody's really like happy. They're looking forward to seeing it on the big screen. Hopefully, some film festival in Kerala picks it up, so we can all go watch it there.
Maybe
That
Arpit, you
would be
can help us
awesome.
with that. Maybe Arpit, you can help us get the film in India. We want to get the
Yeah,
film screened in
that is one
India.
thing.
I think I can try my best for that for sure. I'll see if I can write it for a few Indian website for sure.
Thank
Great.
you so much. Yeah.
I'll hop in with a couple of mine. I was curious about the B-roll footage here, but just with Caden, how during his interviews, a lot of the B-roll was him like going through nature. So what was it like filming that and kind of figuring that out for the B-roll?
For Caden's story, it was really hard because we don't have a counterpoint to his story. For Alex, we have Alex's mom, or Jag, we have Jag's
Sure.
mom. So for Caden, it was really hard finding something that can complement him in a way that it works for the story. So, and then his story is a little sad, happy, like a little bit hopeful, and I think nature is the best reflection for that. And like nature as a way, like if you go to a park or like go to a lake or something, like it always reflects what you're feeling back to you. Like if you're happy, you see a happy scenery, but if you're sad, it changes, like it changes color. So I thought it would be better for him to be in nature and doing his own thing.
I'd also love to ask, just with, I thought it was interesting how his style kind of evolves over the film as he gets more comfortable with himself. So I'd
Yes.
be curious if you wanted to speak to that, or if Alex wanted to speak to that as
Yeah,
well.
that is a running joke for us, because every single scene there is no continuity for Caden. Like he always have a different hairstyle, or he has a different earring going on or something. But this is how he expresses himself. Like this is what he is, right? Like he wants to show him in a certain way, and I really supported. We supported that. And one time he'll show up with orange hair, and like this is what it is today. So yeah, yeah, it was funny, but like but this is how he expresses himself. So yeah,
Okay. Frustrating as a filmmaker for continuity?
not really,
Okay.
because we also filmed it over 2 year time. So I
Sure.
cannot really ask him to, okay, just keep that beard for like another 24 months. So that's impossible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think it worked out, as
Okay.
long as people can tell that it is the same person, right? Like
Exactly.
yeah.
Now, Alex, for you, was it neat seeing him coming into himself, I guess, with his style and
You
meeting him?
know, Caden really came through in the 2 years. I've known Caden for about 5 years when he came into my life, and
Okay.
the film made me feel a sense of satisfaction that this kid is going to make it. Because when he first came into my life, he was, I'm a mentor to him. I was a friend to him, but he really attached on and latched onto my mother, who's kind of like the grandmother of Share Vancouver.
Hmm.
She really served kind of like a parental role for him, and he was so emotionally distressed. He is still very emotionally having a hard time, and he goes to a counselor. But his life is so improved, and when you see this transition in the film, you can visibly see from the beginning of the studio interviews where he's just really, really, just really struggling, and then toward the end, he's at Whistler, he's in the snow, he's more hopeful, he's dancing, you can really see his emotional journey in his attitude being more positive throughout the film, and that actually reflects what he was really going through in real life. So it was actually an accurate depiction of his journey and struggle.
Okay.
So to me, as someone who was a mentor to him and a friend to him, it was nice to see that, because it feels like all the time and energy we spent together was working, and he is in a better place now because he has the support not only of Share Vancouver, but of my mother, of myself, of Vinay, and our community that we have created for him. And like I said, if Share Vancouver, he contacted 14, 15 organizations when he was disowned and had nowhere to turn. Share Vancouver was the only one that met with him, and me and Vinay went out to meet with him. We went to a pizza restaurant. I took him out to dinner. He couldn't eat because he lost his appetite.
Okay.
And it was just amazing how far he's come from that moment we saw him.
It is. It really comes across in the film too, I think.
They're really proud of him too. Yeah.
Now, I'd also just I just wanted to comment on the structure of the film. I like that it's like kind of 3 chapters, like kind of looking at 3 different people. But I loved when he sent you an email and it was kind of like an Easter egg for me. It was like, the timelines are converging.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? Daniel,
sure.
or Alfred, did you, when you were watching the film and there was these 3 stories going through, did you realize they were all going to connect at the end, or were you wondering at the 50-minute mark and they haven't connected and the story's about to finish in 20 minutes, and what were you thinking was going to happen?
So, I mean, if I be very honest, I was a little shocked when it got connected. I mean, I never thought that, it will connect it the way it did connected. I didn't see it coming, if I be very honest.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
Sorry.
We wanted it to connect, but we held it. I mean, Vinay kept it a secret until right to the end.
Yeah, so I think it kind of worked for me. Not sure of Daniel, but it worked for me. I didn't see it.
Sorry, my internet was unstable. Yeah, I don't know if I expected them to connect, but like, so that's why it was kind of very like kind of delightful when they did. And I was like, like, because obviously they have all the same themes, and I thought it was interesting because I was interested to know how you guys picked the subject. So I thought it was great when we learned that it was all part of like this overcompassing Share Vancouver, because I know like that was a note I put down in my notes when your mom said, oh, he's like this father of Share Vancouver, and I was like, oh, what's that? So I thought that was pretty neat to.
And then a lot of people say to us in the media, they really liked at the end how everyone's dancing in the Diwali scene, and they're all, the whole cast is there, and including, we have a surprise. Don't give it away. We have a little tiny surprise in the film as well at the end. Right?
Yeah.
So don't give that away.
It is also because we are trying to find family, and they're saying the message is to find your own people, and then it all connects, and then it makes sense now, because they all have a community to gather and like be themselves. So
Yeah,
I thought that was important.
Yeah, I thought so too. Now, do you guys consider those spoilers? Did you want me to cut any of that?
No, that's fine. That's fine. Don't worry
Okay.
about it.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Now, Arpit, did you have any more that you wanted to ask?
I have 2 questions, but I think one question of mine will just, in a way, will merge with yours. So I think I will let you ask that question. And then I think if I get the answer, I will ask. If I don't, then yeah.
My wrap-up question here was I just wanted to ask, yeah, and I think Arpit and I will have overlap with this one, but what was the biggest thing that you wanted audiences to take away from this film?
So Vinay, you go first, and then I'll tell mine.
Because we are all the same. It doesn't matter if you're gay, straight, or whatever. It's just, like, I just want the message to be that it is normal to be who you are, and you need to love yourself for who you are, and then find, yeah, that is basically my message to everybody. Like, everybody goes, and I really like the end part of how the spiritual message came through, and there's an overlying like the spiritual message throughout the film, and then how it all came together in the end. So that is basically my message. Like, be yourself, love yourself. Yeah. Alex can
Yeah.
add to that.
So for me, I say it in the film, and it's on the poster of the film. It's being gay is just another way of loving, and love is love. Love yourself. We're one people, and many people around the world are suffering for no reason. They're suffering in silence. We don't need to create all this hatred. All we need is more happiness and love in the world, and embrace each other and support each other and be grateful and live a wonderful, happy life while you're here.
Awesome. Arpit, did you have one more?
Yeah, sure. To just add to that part, what was the key takeaway for you, Vinay, and for Alex both, while you saw the film? Or I would rather say that while you were creating this film, did you have any additional takeaway that you guys have took from the film?
I really like the sense of community that I got from the film. All the support I've received so far, it's been amazing. And then, uh, yeah, I cannot ask for anything more, basically. Yeah, I'm really happy, and yeah.
Yeah, and
What about you?
I'm really proud as the producer that we in this film supported a lot of Black, Indigenous. Well, in my both my first film and this film, we supported a lot of Black, Indigenous, people of color, South Asian people, queer people, people minorities, and at every level, from production to casting, at every level, we gave people opportunities. Vinay is an emerging, you know, person of color, South Asian. We gave him a chance with a feature film. And as a producer, another takeaway for me was this film was not funded by, some big film production fund. It was 40 small grants that I applied for. The whole community came together from Metro Vancouver across Canada to give small grants to fund this film. We managed to fundraise $225,000 Canadian over a period of 2 years with small grants from 40 different organizations to fund this film. And the whole community came together because they really believed in it and they wanted the film to get out there. So I'm so grateful to everyone, the cast, the crew, to Vinay, to everyone helping with the film. Even both of you, Arpit and Daniel, thank you. Thank you for the awareness and for providing us with this platform. And fingers crossed that it does well in the film festival circuit. And I don't know, and Vinay is up on the platform somewhere getting a trophy.
Fingers crossed. No, we're glad to be able to provide the platform. So thank you for sharing your story here.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and also I'd love to have you guys plug where people can find the film.
Yeah, so go to emergencefilm.net, emergencefilm.net. All our festival screenings, our community-based screenings, our trailer, everything is there, emergencefilm.net. The film will be broadcast on Out TV across Canada, and it will be available for sale next at the end of October from Moving Images Distribution in Vancouver. Just Google Moving Images Distribution, and you can get put on an advance order mailing list, and they will contact you when it's available. And our discussion guide is done. Vinay created a beautiful discussion guide, and you can see his artwork. It's 25, 30, 35 page discussion guide. It's on emergencefilm.net. Go to screenings and download discussion guide. We made it freely available to the world. You can download it, and you can go through all the activities and all these wonderful, colorful programs for high school teachers and educators. And it's a beautiful, professionally done teacher's discussion guide. And you should just check it out just to see the artwork, I think.
Thank you for that.
Okay, sorry, my internet is horrible, but I'm sure everything you said was amazing.
Yeah, it is.
And I think we caught it all. But thank you again for coming on to speak about Emergence Out of the Shadows.
Thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you for having us.